You've probably heard it a million times. In business, the first one to the top wins, and everyone else is just fighting for scraps. But what if that's just not true? Today, we're going to bust that myth by diving into the playbook that underdogs use to challenge and even topple the giants. It turns out, sometimes arriving late is your biggest advantage. All right, so let's get right to it. When you think about platforms, social media, e-commerce, you name it, there's this common idea that the first one to get huge just wins. End of story. It's the whole winner-takes-all theory. But does history actually back that up?
And this whole idea comes from something called the network effect. It's actually a really powerful concept. The more users you have on a platform, the more valuable it becomes. Think about it. More sellers on Amazon attract more buyers, and of course, more buyers attract more sellers. It creates this massive, self-feeding loop that feels like an impenetrable fortress.
But here's the thing about that fortress. It's been breached again and again and again. I mean, MySpace was the undisputed king of social media, right up until Facebook showed up. In Korea, Gmarket and Auction completely owned online shopping until Coupang exploded onto the scene. Minjuk was the #1 food delivery app, but then Coupang Eats came in and carved out a massive piece of the market. So yeah, clearly the winner doesn't always take all.
So what this proves is that being the biggest player doesn't make you invincible. It means there's a playbook for the latecomer, proven strategies that underdogs can use to not just survive, but to actually win against a giant. So let's crack open that playbook. And this isn't about getting lucky. It's all about strategy. There are 3 main ways a challenger can take on an established leader. It's about being smarter, not just another copycat. And it all starts with one crucial behavior that we all do. The secret weapon is a behavior called multi-homing, and honestly, it's the absolute foundation for any of these strategies to work. Just think about your own phone. You might have both Uber and Lyft, right? Or you watch shows on Netflix, but also on Disney+. That's multi-homing. A latecomer doesn't need you to delete the big guy's app on day 1. Nope, they just need to give you one compelling reason to use their app too, and that's the first crack in the fortress wall. Which leads us perfectly into strategy number 1. Offer something new, something different. This is the most creative approach. You don't try to play the giant's game. You invent a whole new one. Instead of just being a little bit faster or a little bit cheaper, you offer a completely different experience. A perfect example of this comes from the mid-2000s console wars. You had Sony's PlayStation and Microsoft's Xbox locked in this arms race for the best, most powerful graphics, and they were laser-focused on hardcore gamers. Nintendo didn't even try to compete on that level. Instead, they launched the Wii. It had simpler graphics, but it had these revolutionary motion controls and games that were fun for the entire family. They weren't trying to be a better PlayStation. They were being a different Nintendo, and they ended up creating a whole new market for themselves. Okay, on to our next couple of strategies. And these two often work together like a powerful 1-2 punch, creating an irresistible exclusive offer and then using some seriously aggressive pricing to make it a total no-brainer for people to jump on board. Let's start with strategy number 2, leverage exclusivity. We can stick with video games here because it's the perfect illustration. Why do all 3 major consoles survive and even thrive side by side? Exclusives. If you want to play the next big Mario game, you have no choice but to own a Nintendo console. End of story. Same goes for those blockbuster titles on PlayStation. These exclusive games are a powerful hook that guarantees each platform a loyal base and encourages serious gamers to multi-home by owning all of them. And that brings us to the other half of that punch. Strategy number 3, be bold with pricing. Let's look at a classic case from Korea's early days of e-commerce. The market was absolutely dominated by a company called Auction. Then a newcomer called Gmarket showed up. And the move Gmarket made was, well, just audacious. Auction, the market leader, was charging sellers a commission of around 12%. Gmarket came in and charged just 1 to 2%. For a seller, that's a massive deal. Why wouldn't you list your products on the new platform if it means you get to keep so much more of your revenue? It made multi-homing a super simple business decision. And the result? It was explosive. Gmarket's super low fees brought sellers flocking to their platform. More sellers meant more products and lower prices, which in turn attracted more buyers. Their transaction volume just skyrocketed, and in only a few years, they completely overtook the original market leader. So we've covered the classic strategies. But how does this playbook apply today with all the new technology we have? Can something like AI be a real game changer? The answer is a resounding yes, because it's the perfect modern example of our very first strategy, creating brand new value. And the process is exactly the same. First, a challenger builds in a unique AI tool that the dominant player, who might be big and slow to innovate, doesn't have. That sparks curiosity and gets users to come try the new platform. This, of course, encourages that all-important multi-homing. And just like that, the challenger has a foot in the door and starts to grab market share.
We don't even have to imagine this. It's happening right now. For 2 decades, Google Search has been the definition of a winner-takes-all platform. But Microsoft saw an opportunity. They integrated ChatGPT right into their Bing search engine. Suddenly, users had a real reason to try Bing, not because it was a better Google, but because it did something new and fascinating. And for the first time in forever, Google's market share actually dipped.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? A really clear playbook emerges for any underdog out there. It proves that winning isn't just about being bigger or spending more. It's about being strategic and smart.
So, to put it simply, here is the Latecomers playbook. 1. Create new and different value. Don't just copy the leader, innovate like Nintendo did. 2. Leverage exclusivity to give users a reason they absolutely have to come to you. And 3. Be bold with your pricing to make it incredibly easy for people to give you a try, just like Gmarket. And that brings us to a final thought. The titans of tech and business today, the Amazons, the Googles, the Metas, they can seem invincible. But history has shown us that every empire can be challenged. This playbook has worked before, and it will work again. The only question is, who's going to use it next?